Welcome back to Azeem USA. Today we are breaking down everything you need to know about the massive global launch of the Google Pixel 11 series.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
It is huge. We are talking the Pixel 11, the Pixel 11 Pro, the Pro XL, and the entirely redesigned Pixel 11 Pro Fold.
Right.
So our mission today for this deep dive is to synthesize everything. We've got Google's official announcements, benchmark leaks from Reddit, and a bunch of hands-on reviews from places like PC Mag, Engadget, Android Authority, Tech Radar.
All the heavy hitters.
Exactly. And we need to cut through all the marketing jargon because Google is throwing around terms like intelligent system instead of a smartphone.
Yeah, that's a bold claim.
Right. So we need to figure out, is this actually a hardware upgrade, or is this just, a $1,000 vehicle to get their new AI features into your pocket?
Well, what's fascinating here is how Google's strategy has just completely decoupled from the traditional smartphone race.
How so?
Like, for the last decade, it was all about brute force speed, right?
Yeah.
Who can open an app a millisecond faster? But Google is completely optimizing for what they're calling ambient agentic AI.
Right, which means it acts on its own.
Exactly. But before we even get to the AI brains, we really should talk about how the physical hardware has changed to actually support this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with the design.
Yeah.
Across the board, they have moved to this really sleek edge-to-edge glass camera bar, and it just flows directly into the metal frame now.
It looks so much more refined.
It does. And they finally added something called Pixel Snap.
Oh, right. The magnets.
Yeah, magnets built right into the phone. So you can snap on accessories, wallets, chargers, without needing a special bulky case.
It's about time, honestly.
For sure. And
So-
durability's up too. IP68 dust and water resistance across all the models. And they're using Corning Gorilla Glass Victus too.
Though I did see that one PC Mag reviewer still managed to scratch their screen.
Oh yeah, they dropped it on hardwood. So, it's tough, but it's not invincible. But okay, the biggest hardware change is arguably the most controversial.
A highlight.
Yes, the highlight. So on the Pro XL, and the Fold, they completely ditched that old temperature sensor.
Which, let's be honest, nobody used.
No one used it. And they replaced it with an RGB ambient indicator integrated right into the camera flash.
Yeah.
It glows when Gemini is thinking. Or if your phone is face down, it flashes specific colors for VIP contacts.
Right.
So I have to say, it kind of reminds me of like an old school answering machine with the blinking light.
Right.
Just modernized for the AI era.
That's a great analogy, and reviewers are completely split on this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Some are calling it a total gimmick, but Tech Radar actually praised it. They said it's a clever way to stay disconnected from your screen, to manage digital fatigue.
Right, because if it's face down, you aren't doom scrolling.
Exactly. You're not looking at it. But you also won't miss an actual emergency if your partner's color flashes.
I like that. I really do. Speaking of hardware, though, we got to talk about the big boy, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold.
The Fold, yeah.
So it's 10% lighter than last year. It's down to 239 grams.
Okay.
And it's 10.1 millimeters thick. They give it this new crack-resistant glass fiber back and an 8-inch Super ActuaFlex inner display.
Right. But, we have to be real here. Compared to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra,
Oh, man, yeah.
the Pixel is still a tank. The Samsung is only 215 grams and 8.9 millimeters thick.
It's so thin.
It is. But there is a huge trade-off there.
Okay, what is it?
Google offers full IP68 protection on the Fold.
Right.
Samsung only offers IP48.
Wow. Okay, so wait, explain the difference for people who don't memorize IP ratings.
Sure. So the first number is solids, like dust. The second is liquids. Google's 6 means it's totally dust-tight.
Nothing gets in.
Right. Samsung's 4 just means it's protected against solid objects larger than 1 millimeter.
It's like a paperclip.
Exactly. A paperclip won't get in, but beach sand or pocket lint absolutely will.
And on a folding phone with hinges.
It's a death sentence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You trade a little bulk for peace of mind on an $1,800 phone.
Precisely.
Okay, so the physical hardware is very intentional. But to power this light ring, the massive screens, the AI, they had to overhaul the silicon. Let's talk about the engine.
The Tensor G6.
Yes. Every model runs the new Google Tensor G6. And they paired it with a Titan M3 post-quantum security coprocessor.
Which is wild.
That sounds like science fiction.
Yeah.
But okay, let's stick to the main chip first. It's built on a 3-nanometer TSMC process.
Right, which completely debunks those early 2-nanometer rumors we saw floating around.
Yeah, I remember seeing those on Twitter and Reddit.
Yeah, they stayed at 3-nanometer, which is still incredibly efficient. The CPU uses ARM C1 Ultra and C1 Pro cores.
Right.
Google claims it delivers 25% faster web browsing, 15% faster app launches, and 20% greater power efficiency.
Which all sounds great on paper.
It does.
But I've been looking at the leaked Geekbench 7 scores from Reddit and Notebook Check.
Ah, the benchmark war.
Right, so single core is around 2,265. Multi-core is around 5,835.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, that's a solid 20 to 30% jump from the Pixel 10.
Yeah, it's a good leap, but the PowerVR GPU is still surprisingly weak. Like the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 that's inside the Galaxy S26 Ultra,
Yeah.
it's pushing up to 40% more graphics power.
Wow. Yeah, that's a massive gap.
It is. So I have to ask bluntly, if someone is a heavy mobile gamer, like they play intense 3D games every day, should they just skip the Pixel 11 entirely?
Absolutely. 100%.
Really, just skip it.
Yes, but here's the thing. Google doesn't care.
You don't care.
Not at all. They intentionally conceded the gaming benchmark war because instead of boosting the GPU, they boosted the TPU, the tensor processing unit, by a staggering 50%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are literally trading gaming frame rates for on-device AI efficiency.
Okay, so they're putting all their chips, pun intended, on AI.
Exactly, because that TPU investment is what unlocks the entire software experience.
Right, which brings us to Android 17 and what they're calling Gemini Intelligence.
Yes, moving from an operating system to an intelligence system.
It's wild how proactive this phone is trying to be.
Yeah.
Like, it uses context from your apps, all running locally, to show reservations right on the lock screen.
Yep.
I read it can even lock down dinner plans via text automatically.
That's the agentic AI at work.
And the live translate is insane now, translating video and audio on the fly. But here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay.
Have you seen the Rambler feature?
Oh, the voice-to-text processing.
Yes. It understands totally natural speech. PCMag tested it by starting a sentence in English and then effortlessly switching to Romanian halfway through.
Oh, wow. And it kept up.
It didn't even flinch. And the best part, it filters out filler words like in real time.
Okay, that is actually amazing for anyone who sends long voice notes.
I'm so guilty of that.
Y'all are.
And for content creators, they added a creator suite. It has an on-screen teleprompter that dynamically tracks the speed of your speech. So if you speed up, the text speeds up.
That's so smart. No more awkward pausing while you wait for the prompter to catch up.
Exactly. And the AI goes even further with Magic Capture in the camera app.
I was reading about this. It analyzes like 400 frames of video.
Yeah, 400 frames in the background. So if you're trying to take a picture of a baby smiling or someone jumping for a basketball, you don't have to stress about timing the shutter perfectly.
Because the AI just finds the single best unblurred frame automatically.
Right. It just hands you the perfect photo.
Which is incredible, but, you know, that heavy reliance on AI frame analysis leads us perfectly into Google's traditional bread and butter.
The camera system.
Exactly. Because you need serious hardware to feed all that visual data into the AI.
Let's run through the specs. The Pro tiers are packing a 50-megapixel main sensor,
Okay.
a 48-megapixel ultra-wide,
Mm-hmm.
and a brand new 48-megapixel 5x telephoto lens.
Right. And doesn't that gather a lot more light?
Yeah, 30% more light than last year. Oh, and a massive 42-megapixel selfie camera.
Whoa. 42 on the front.
Yeah, they aren't messing around. And the displays supporting the viewfinder are shockingly bright. Up to 3,600 nits peak brightness on the Super Actual LTPO panels.
3,600 nits is almost blinding.
It really is. You could edit photos in the desert at noon.
And you mentioned more light on the telephoto, but the software processing upgrades are just as aggressive.
Oh, yeah. Instant night sight.
Right. It captures low-light photos 4.5 times faster than previous generations.
So no more standing completely still for 3 seconds in a dark restaurant.
Thank goodness. And they also added 8K video boost and Pro Stable video.
The video is going to be incredibly smooth. But okay, we have to talk about the controversy.
Yes. This raises a very important question.
The 120x Pro Zoom.
Yeah. So the Pro models feature this 120x Pro Zoom, and reviewers, especially at Tech Radar, are really questioning the philosophy behind this.
Because at 120x on a smartphone lens, you aren't really capturing a photo anymore, right?
Exactly. Is a 120x image an actual photograph, or is it just an AI-generated interpretation of what the phone thinks is far away?
Right, because it's looking at a blurry mess of pixels, and Gemini goes, oh, I think that's a brick wall. And it just draws in crisp bricks.
Yes. It forces us to think critically about where photography ends and AI generation begins. If the AI is just hallucinating details to make it look sharp, can we trust the image?
That's a little scary, honestly, if you're trying to use a photo as proof of something.
It is.
Okay, real quick before we get into the final verdict and the pricing, I want to give a quick shout out to the community.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If you are enjoying this deep dive, don't forget to support the channel. Drop a super chat if you're watching live, leave a super thanks below the video, or hit the join button to become an official Azeem USA channel member for exclusive badges, perks, and member-only content.
We appreciate all of you.
We really do.
Okay.
Okay, so with the specs, the AI, the crazy cameras all unpacked, it's time to figure out which of these 4 models actually deserves your money.
Right. Let's talk pricing.
So the baseline storage across all models is now 256 gigabytes, which is great.
Finally.
Yeah. The standard Pixel 11 is $899.9.
Okay.
The Pixel 11 Pro is $1,099. The Pro XL is $1,299. And the Pro Fold is a whopping $899.
Wow. Okay, so what does this all mean? Which one is the buy?
Well, looking at the consensus from reviewers, the base Pixel 11 is just an incredible value.
I agree. For $899, you get the same Tensor G6 chip.
Right.
You get the exact same Gemini AI features, and it has a beautifully slender design without that massive camera bump the pros have.
It's super balanced. But if you want that 120x Pro Zoom, the 42-megapixel selfie cam, and that quirky highlight ring on the back,
You've got to step up.
you do. Tom's guide explicitly identified the Pixel 11 Pro for $1,099 as the absolute sweet spot flagship of the year.
That makes total sense. You get all the premium features without the sheer size of the XL or the massive price of the Fold.
Exactly. So just to summarize, the Pixel 11 series is a masterclass in AI integration.
It really is.
They intentionally traded raw gaming power for quality of life intelligence and phenomenal camera speeds.
And you know, it leaves me with one final thought to mull over.
What's that?
If Google's vision actually succeeds, where our phones are booking our dinners, translating our voices perfectly, picking the best photo frames automatically, and flashing a light on the back so we don't have to turn it over,
Yeah.
are we entering an era where the ultimate goal of smartphone design is to ensure we almost never actually look at our smartphones?
Oh, wow. That's a trippy thought, buying a $1,000 screen to never look at it.
Right.
Well, that is our complete review and global launch breakdown of the Google Pixel 11 lineup. Let me know in the comments which model you're picking up this year.
It's going to be a tough choice for a lot of people.
It really is. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Azeem USA. For full spec sheets, side-by-side comparison tables, and in-depth details, make sure to click the Read More link located in the description below. See you next time.